大家好，我是奥地利的雪狐。今天我们吃11种不同的芝士，看看是什么样的体验。你们知道，这是一个很复杂的 topic. There is so many complex flavors going on this plate, and you know my Chinese is quite low level, so I'm super sorry. I need to switch to English so you guys can get the most out of this video. But I think it doesn't matter. I know you guys understand. Some weeks ago, I've been in Amsterdam in a cheese store and I have shown you guys a lot of different cheeses there. Since then, I've been really waiting to make this video. Today, I have gotten some cheeses out of my personal fridge to show you guys what I like to eat. Some of them I specially ordered today for you to see. Some of them are cheeses I actually really brought from Europe to here. I will take you quickly through all the cheeses that we have on our plate today. I will tell you how much fat percentage they have, where they come from, what kind of cheese it is, how ripe they are. Lots of people, they ask like, will I get fat from cheese? Well, cheese has in general a quite high fat percentage. Some cheese, as you will hear, less, some cheese more. So of course, the more fat you eat, the more you will gain weight. I think that counts in general about everything, but you will see that every cheese is a little bit different. Let's just start our small comparison, and later I will also taste the different cheeses and tell you about the flavor. Our first cheese today is a mozzarella cheese, very famous in Italy. You have seen me talking about it already several times. This cheese is a fresh cheese. It's stored in water. Normally keep it fresh longer, but you cannot keep it that long. This cheese has 30% fat. There is some of them they have a little bit less and some of them they have a little bit more. This cheese can be eaten cold or it can be used for cooking. You saw it, I put it on pizza, which is very nice, but in Italy you will often also just eat it with a salad. A good combination is tomato. So tomato mozzarella salad is something you will encounter quite a lot in Italy. You can buy it mostly frozen, also in China. Later I will tell you more about the flavor. The second cheese I have for you is this dried mozzarella. So basically these two cheeses are made the same way. Because it is dried, naturally it has a higher fat content. This specific one has 50% of fat. I think this is the most common cheese you will encounter in China because it is very famous to use on pizza and all kind of other things. The taste is quite like mild and also it stretches like crazy, and I know Chinese people love that. It is also the cheapest cheese from all of our cheeses on the table. That doesn't mean this is necessarily a bad cheese. However, mozzarella, dried mozzarella, is one of the most produced cheeses in the world. So often it is produced not even using fresh milk, but for example, powder. That means the quality of these cheeses vary drastically. If you want to buy one, just make sure you buy a nice one. Then, the next cheese in our round is a feta cheese. This cheese is iconic for Greek people. They have brought it to everywhere in Europe. This is also a fresh cheese. It has 37% fat. It is kept in a salt water, so this cheese is quite salty, but because of the salt it also can keep longer. Greek people love this cheese so much. They cook with it, they eat it cold, they snack it with olives, all kind of things. In the whole of Europe you will mostly find it in salads because it just gives a really nice salty touch to a salad. I personally really like this cheese. Some people don't like it that much because it's a bit salty. The next cheese in our round, I already cut it, is this French cheese. It's a goat cheese. I bought it from a Chinese cheesemaker that makes French style cheeses. You can see it is a white mold cheese, which is a little bit soft inside. It's also soft here, you can see that one. It has 25% of fat, so it's actually also less fat than our dried mozzarella. It smells really nice, like a goat cheese. I don't know the flavor, later we will try it. This kind of goat cheese fits very, very nice with sweet things, nuts, dates, you know, dried fruit, fresh grapes fit really, really nice. I will give it a try in a second. The next cheese in our round is also a French style cheese made in China. It's also a goat cheese. You can see it's very soft and it's a mold cheese. I'm gonna try to cut a piece here. There's a small stick inside to keep the cheese together. I will just open it here like this for you. So you can see it's very, very soft inside, super, super soft. It's 25% fat as well. And you can see nicely how the mold only went on the outside layer of the cheese. It smells really nice, a little bit moldy. This cheese, you can eat it just like this. You can spread it nicely on bread. You can also use it to make it like a cheesy sauce. This cheese will melt really, really good when you use it for cooking. And also, as I already explained in my cheese video, I personally love to eat this kind of cheese with jam. Jam is very sweet, actually, it has lots of sugar inside, but this stingy mold flavor with sweet, sweet jam, I personally really love it. Next one is this blue mold cheese. This blue mold cheese, I have actually never eaten it before in my life. A good friend of mine brought it from Australia. This is a 40+ blue mold cheese. You can see it has like a wax crust. So it has been fermented inside of a wax crust. You can see this, you cannot eat it, of course. The blue mold inside was cultured within the crust. This one has a really moldy flavor as well. Not as much as this one, a bit like a Danish blue cheese as well. I'm really curious to try this one. Now we're entering the Dutch cheeses. Here we have another goat cheese, around 40+% of fat. It's a hard goat cheese. This one is ripened for a couple of months. I really love this kind of cheese, to be honest. They have it in all kind of different versions with more fat, with a little bit less fat. Older ones, actually I like the older ones even better. Sometimes they get very salty. This is really nice goat cheese. We have another Dutch one. This is a Gouda with cumin inside. This one has been ripened for around 1 year. You can see it's still a little bit soft. This one already smells really cuminish. Personally, I love cumin. Also, it has been ripened with wax outside. You can see that. So originally, this hard cheeses, there was like a huge big round of cheese, and this is just a tiny slice from it. Of course, if you guys have any specific cheese question, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments. This is another cheese that I brought especially from Amsterdam, from Holland to here. You can see I still have a whole piece, while this one I already ate most of it. This is branded Old Amsterdam Cheese. They have also younger and older ones. This one is the 1 year old one, so it's not that salty yet, and also still a little bit soft and flexible, not really breaking apart like many really old cheeses. You can see it in Amsterdam many times. This really black outside is really iconic for this cheese. A really nice kind of Gouda, Dutch Gouda. It's also around 40 to 50% fat. Here comes our oldest cheese of today. This is a Salander. Salander is also a company or a specific region where people make cheese. This one has been ripened for 3 full years in a wax crust as well. So you can see this cheese, it becomes very yellow. It also becomes much more breakable. That was not intentionally. It's very dry inside because it is ripened so many years. All these 3 cheeses I just show you, Old Amsterdam, Salander, this cheese is all from cow milk. Here comes last but absolutely not least a Pecorino. This is an Italian cheese that in my mind it is most underrated. It goes very close to a Parmesan cheese. This one has been 8 months ripened. It's from goat and it's also really nice to rasp it, same like Parmesan. You can see the color, it's a little bit whiter than a Parmesan cheese. And I have the feeling there's either way people they love Parmesan or people that love Pecorino, and I am definitely a Pecorino lover. This is one of my absolute favorites. Then let's try them. First I try this one. As I told you, normally I don't eat this. Mozzarella. As I explained, this one is most used in China. I think this is a little bit sweeter even than in Europe. I don't particularly like the flavor. I'm used to salty cheeses. This one is kind of nearly no flavor at all and just a little bit sweet. Then we try our next cheese. You can already see this one is super soft. You can kind of pull it apart like this. I just like to flake it, to be honest. Let's try it. Really like this one. It's also really mild. Barely has any flavor, to be honest. It just has this really settled milky flavor, like super, like kind of fresh milk, and then also like a tiny touch of sweetness to it. So these kind of two cheeses, these mozzarella cheeses, are the ones that I advise for people to start trying. Although, be aware, they are very mild and in my opinion, they don't really resemble like any of these other cheeses. These cheeses, they really taste different. So if you like this, it by no means means that you might also like all of these. Now let's try our Feta cheese. You can see it breaks apart quite easily. It's also quite soft. I really like this one. This particular one is not that salty, but it is much more salty than these ones. These more sweet cheeses. Of course, it goes without saying, these cheeses, they are not sweet because there's any sugar or something inside. They are just slightly sweet from the sugar that is within the milk. So you don't need to think there's actually sugar added. Like in China, you have also this kind of waffle snack crackers, you know. They also say cheese on top and it's very sweet because there's definitely sugar inside. But that's not the sweetness I'm talking here from. I'm talking from a sweetness naturally come from milk, which this cheese doesn't have at all. And you can really taste a little bit like the salt water flavor also inside. Now we try our French cheese, French goat cheese. Smells really goaty. Really nice. A little bit like a nutty flavor. At the end it becomes this really salty aftertaste. Quite salty, I have to say. Nearly even more salty than the feta I just had right now. The inside is super smooth. Yeah, it has a little bit stingy, nutty flavor. Very difficult to compare, but very tasty. I can definitely see this cheese being used for cooking. Also, for example, to make a cheese fondue. Okay, let's go to our other goat cheese. I will take a little bit creamy outside and inside. I will use a cracker to eat this. So this black thing is nothing more than a small cracker. It doesn't have a special flavor, but you eat the cheese together with this, it's not that salty. So this is a way that I mostly eat cheese, to be honest. Just like this, I snack it. I barely cook it that much. So I like it just like that. It smells really nice. really creamy, super creamy. I have to say this moldy flavor is not at all that strong. It's not as strong as a gorgonzola. And gorgonzola has a really strong malt flavor, and this one is actually really soft. It also doesn't taste as much goaty as this one, for example. This one is much more milky flavor, and it's super smooth, especially here, because you can see this really smooth texture of the outside. It's really like creamy, you can say, and this is what you really feel in your mouth. I just need to nick the life, you know. So good. So the next one is here our blue cheese from Australia. Really salty. And it has this kind of blue mold flavor that's that kind of even stinging in the back of your throat, you know? You can kind of, it's like sharp. It's nearly like you're eating something that is spicy. It's so sharp that it actually scratches the back of your throat. The flavor is good, but it's not a cheese you can eat that much. It goes much closer to something like a gorgonzola, for example. We finish our next and first Dutch goat cheese. Cut a small piece. Of course, you cannot eat this part. You always need to cut this part away. This one smells already really nice. Has a really mild gold smell. It's much harder, of course. You really need to chew it, not like the other ones. Also not at all that salty. It's quite balanced between salty and the milk sweetness. The hardness actually makes it really like enjoyable just to eat it, you know? Just the chewing part itself is something I really enjoy. Little bit goat flavor, really like this one. The mouth feeling of this one, I would really compare it to like the Chinese Shangang tofu. This kind of smoked tofu, you know, it's also a bit chewy. It's really difficult to say the exact flavor. It's just this sweet, salty goat milk flavor. Next one, we try this cumin one. This one is very nice. To be honest, cumin is nearly the only flavor you taste. Strong cumin flavor with a little bit like a salty milk flavor in the background. From the consistency, like the Kogan, these two are pretty similar. Here we have our old Amsterdam. Also here, pay attention, this corner. Don't need it, the wax. The consistency also is a little bit drier than the ones before. It's not so stingy. It's much more nutty flavor, you know, like a kind of a full flavor. And you can definitely taste its cow milk. It's like a really full cow milk flavor, but not stingy at all. Really nice, not too salty, not sweet at all basically, just very mild saltiness. Very good. Now we come to our Salander here. When I eat it, the mouth feeling is totally different, really dry. This cheese, you won't use it for cooking. This is really a cheese that you purely eat like this as a snack or with bread, because it just breaks apart like this. The flavor is really distinct. It's like this kind of a little bit fermented milk flavor. It's probably comparable to tofu that is also starting to ferment. A little bit this stingy flavor, but not too much. And it's also get a little bit bitterness inside. Just a tiny little bit. I need to refresh the taste buds over here, because otherwise so much cheese, you know, my mouth already get confused. Why wine suits so well with cheese is also because all these cheeses are quite salty. And as I already said, with all these salty goat cheeses, in Europe we really love this combination of salty and sweet. So a nice and subtle, little bit sweet white wine is just really perfect for cheese. And at last comes a little bit bigger piece. My favorite, one of my favorites. They are all very good. Pecorino. It's just so good. This cheese has a totally different flavor than all of the other cheeses. It's pretty salty, to be honest. Like really milky, salty, and the consistency is also totally different. Even though these two cheeses, they are both hard cheeses, this one is just like, it kind of like immediately breaks in your mouth, but it breaks into really tiny pieces and kind of just dissolves. I just really like it. It's also a little bit bitter, but the saltiness actually takes the bitterness just away. Most of these cheeses you can buy in China online or in supermarkets. If you really like cheese, I strongly advise you to just go out there and be a little bit crazy. Buy a cheese that you haven't tried yet and just like let yourself slip into this kind of European taste explosion. Of course, the more easy cheeses to get into it, as I said, are the mozzarellas. But if you want to have a more European like flavor that we are much more used to, you can go for something like this kind of goat cheese, a couple of months already old. I think this one isn't too strong in flavor, has a nice balance, a good step in cheese. Also, another cheese that I think definitely you guys will like is this kind of cumin flavored cheese, because the cheese flavor itself is actually not strong at all. These are two really nice cheeses for starters. If you want to really dive deep into the cheese culture, then I definitely recommend the Pecorino. I think this is a must-try cheese. If you want to understand Italian cheeses, then this is one you just cannot skip. And then the other side is, of course, this kind of mold cheeses. I think they are definitely must try.然后这个是所有的我们的今天吃的11个芝士。I really hope you liked it. 我真的不好意思今天说这么多英文，但是你们知道了，芝士是 it's such a complex topic, you know. It just goes beyond my language capabilities. 如果你们就想要问一个问题，弹幕评论里面就问我 and I will try to give you a really good answer for any of your cheese questions.谢谢你看我的视频，是你让我想要努力拍更好的视频和说中文。点赞、分享和 please 关注我，你的关注才能让我继续拍摄。Love you guys.